What's going on, everybody? This is Brian Mazique, aka Unique Mazique, the hardest working man in sports and gaming, and I'm coming to you with my NBA 2K Playgrounds 2 video review. Now, I already wrote this up for Forbes, so I'm going to go over some of the pretty much the same stuff I went over on the written review. So please don't put in the comments that you read this review someplace else and I took it. It's mine. Check it out. All right, but before we get into the review, let's make sure you go ahead and smack that like button. And also, don't forget to subscribe and to click that notifications bell as well. We always like to start off with the good. That's just my thing. Start off with the best parts and then go into the bad. The arcade action is still, to me, the big draw. So the fast pace and simplistic way that you play, that's still left intact. Saber Interactive and 2K, they both understand that the charm and the appeal from the original comes in its ease of play. So the 2-on-2 gameplay feels just as smooth as it did last year. Okay, so these power-ups and punishments on the game, I think they're gorgeous. They're new penalties, and like I said, power-ups, they add more challenges and rewards for good and bad play. When you get the frozen hoop, it's frustrating, but it looks dope. But you understand how you got there. On the flip side, those speed boosts, those look awesome as well. I'm feeling it. Now, the season mode, I like. It adds another layer to the game. So it shows that the developers know that it's time to take this game to the next level. So while the gameplay can remain simple, there needs to be some new layers added in regards to options. And I think the season mode does that well, and then on top of the Playgrounds Championship. Also, the pretty courts. These courts look nice, man. I mean, they're just cosmetic. You know, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that in a second, but you got the St. Louis playground, you get 10 of them in all, Grand Canyon, and several others. And I just think it's cool. I think it's cool even from like a celebration of the different cultures that you see in the, in the courts. I think that's cool. One of my favorite parts, I think my favorite thing from the last game is the three-point shootout. That's back. Like I said, it was my favorite from last year. It came in the patch after, after the game had, had already been released. But in the original Playgrounds, I loved it. It's really simple, but that timing on that shot meter that keeps the green area keeps moving, it can be a little bit challenging. So I dig it. Now, the grind, the balance, I think is there. A lot of people just don't like the pay to win thing, period. I understand that. You do have the option to pay an additional $9.99 to unlock every player in the game. However, those players you get are still just a bronze. So you still have to grind to get them up to par. So I actually think that that's decent. Now, the 2K impression, I think, on this game has been pretty positive. Thanks to 2K coming on as the publisher, you now have the game Playgrounds being having access to the license for Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, and others. And I think that's been a really big improvement or a really big addition to the overall core game that people seem to like. All right, now it is time to talk about the bad. So I'm like, hey, dude, Melo got traded. I don't know if y'all know, but Melo got traded. So the rosters are a little out of date. So Melo's still with the Thunder. You have Rajon Rondo, DeMarcus Cousins still with the Pelicans. And, so I don't know how long it's going to take them before they're able to update the rosters. Shouldn't be too long, but, Another one is I kind of was asking myself a lot, who is that guy? And I understand. They're, these are caricatures of players. I get that. But I shouldn't be looking at guys and saying, who is that? Ben Simmons looks nothing like Ben Simmons, a couple other guys. Also, I'm asking, where's the worm? Where is Rasheed Wallace? Where is Tim Duncan? I understand no Charles Barkley, no Reggie Miller, no Rasheed Wallace. I kind of get that. But there's no Karl Malone. There's no Tim Duncan. There's no Dennis Rodman. There's no Kevin McHale. Several others that are missing. Maybe they'll be added later. I don't know. One problem I had with gameplay was morphing, especially during online play. I noticed multiple occasions where it appeared as though my player morphed from one spot on the floor to another. It was not a game-breaking occurrence, but it's something that shouldn't be happening. Now, I also had an issue with the elite players. I just don't feel like they feel set apart enough. There isn't enough differentiation between the players. So playing with a great three-point shooter and defenders, they don't carry that satisfying payoff. I feel like more like they should be better. I feel like, getting Steph Curry, Michael Jordan should matter more. And it just kind of doesn't. They just seem to kind of be too close to regular players, in my opinion. Now the courts look great, but I think it would be so much better if some of these different courts had like environmental differences that actually affected the gameplay. That doesn't happen, and how cool would that be? Like if you had like wind in Chicago or something like that. Another thing I would love to see, especially in season mode, is if they had like some statistical overlays for players throughout your season, through that game. Just because it's playgrounds doesn't mean you shouldn't have any statistics. Another thing is the instant replay. There isn't one. I think that would be really awesome in this game. Sometimes you throw down some crazy slams, and it would be really cool if you could instant replay them. Your opponents probably would hate you, but it would still be dope. Now, let's the bottom line. So this game is published by 2K Sports. It's on PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and the PC. It's out now. It's $29.99. My score for it is a 7.5 out of 10. While I do think that the game has its charm, it's definitely a step in the right direction, I think, for the game. But overall, there's still some things I'd like to see tightened up. But is it worth playing? Absolutely. And I think you can have a lot of fun with it as long as you keep it into the proper perspective. That's all I got for you today. I appreciate you watching as always. God bless and peace.
Pocket, I'll be weak. I'm rather unique.